Okay, I think I've got it now. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. Technical difficulties. Hi, my name is Kara Harrison. I am a nationally certified pharmacy technician living here in Maine. And I'm here to talk to you all today about being a hidden hero. A lot of times when people think about what being a hero means, they think about somebody who pulled somebody out of a burning building, rescued somebody from drowning, some big, huge act. That's not always the case, though. There's sometimes it can be that small, silent moment where you do something that you don't even realize you're doing it, that turns somebody's life around. Personally, my life was saved 3 years ago by a TV show. I have met the actor who did save my life, and so yes, he does know. But yeah, it was a TV show, a TV episode of Grey's Anatomy that literally saved my life. And my story is I am a domestic violence survivor. And 4 years ago, my ex-husband left me. And I spent a year trying to get him back. I did hit emotional rock bottom. I didn't think I had anybody. I knew I wasn't being a good mom to my son. I knew that, and I did have that noise in my head saying you're not good enough. You'll never be good enough. I had been told several times that I wasn't. When I decided to go into medicine, when I got interested in medicine in 2006, I was a care partner for my grandmother who passed away from stomach cancer. Trust me, this is relevant to the story. And when I approached my now ex-husband about it, I was told that I wasn't smart enough. Years later, I got my first pharmacy technician license. I got my national certification in 2019. I missed 5 questions out of 100 on a test that dealt almost exclusively, with inpatient pharmacy knowledge. I had spent my entire career thus far in outpatient pharmacy. When I got home and told my ex-husband about how I had done on the test, I got told that I got lucky. I wasn't supposed to do that good on that test. Well, joke's on him. But, of course, a couple years later, as I said, he left me. And I actually spent a year trying to get him back. And here's where my hidden hero comes in. I had made out my will at the beginning of the week, made out a note. My son was going to a friend's house that weekend. I had originally started watching Grey's Anatomy just to distract myself from some other anniversaries in January. And I had gotten to season 5, episode 24. A lot of people equate that with being not such a good episode because one of the favorite characters of many people gets killed off. The reason I remember it is because of the post-it scene. There is a scene in that episode where Derek and Meredith, Patrick Dempsey's character and Ellen Pompeo's character, Ellen Pompeo's character is just going crazy because everything is happening at the hospital. And they're supposed to be going to City Hall to get married. Instead, Derek Shepherd, Patrick's character, calms her down and says, okay, pretty much says, okay, let's do it this way. And they write their wedding vows on a post-it note. The instant Patrick said the line, so what do we want to promise each other, I started crying. Because in that moment, I realized I was worth more. I realized I was worth more than what had been done to me. And so I started joining fan groups. And I found out about Dempsey Center. It is a nonprofit that Patrick Dempsey founded for his mother. And it is an organization that strives to make life better for those affected by cancer. As I said, the reason I got into medicine was because of my grandmother. That learning about that organization brought my passion flooding back. And it's an organization that does so much good. I do volunteer when I can for them. I also fundraise through Dempsey Challenge. It is their main fundraiser. And they have helped my healing so much. And it's amazing how those little things add up. It can be, being a hidden hero can be as simple as going into your normal coffee shop, everyday occurrence. You are going through your normal motions. You go up to your barista and order your coffee for the day. You notice that this barista has earrings in. Say a donut in one ear and a coffee cup in the other. And so you compliment them on it. You say, hey, those are cute earrings. I like those. And that simple act of just giving them a sincere compliment, because you notice them. Because for those 30 seconds, they weren't invisible. You turn their life around. It's as simple as that. It's the way we react to each other. It's giving each other the respect that you would give, say, one of your peers at work. It doesn't matter, really, how high of a degree you have. The respect and the humanity that you treat people with is what really makes a difference. You know, with me it was a TV show, and I mean, he didn't even know me until 2023, when I actually did meet Patrick Dempsey for the first time. I told him my story. And me telling him my story, he thanked me several times, actually, for telling him. And he gave me a big bear hug because he realized that he had impacted me. He realized that doing that small, little, seemingly insignificant thing had saved a life. Being kind to somebody. Being compassionate. Being honest with them. You don't have to sugarcoat everything. But simply providing people with the respect. As much respect as you would give, say, your boss. Like I said, it makes a difference. To treat everyone with the respect whether their job title is CEO or janitor. Because you never can tell, that janitor might get promoted someday. The connections we make in our lives are, even the small ones, they can end up creating some of the biggest moments. One thing I've learned in my life is not everybody gets the big moments. I didn't get a wedding. I never got, my husband holding my hand when I had my son. So yeah, those people say, oh, you missed out. You missed out, or... and of course, after my ex-husband left, I started speaking out about what was done to me. I got the backlash from that. I have been told that I'm crazy. I know I'm not. I know I'm smarter now. Respecting yourself is also a big thing. The way you speak to yourself makes a difference. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, actually. And people go on about self-harm and stuff like that, and that's another misnomer, because people think it's physically harming yourself, but I mentally harm myself. I would tell myself that I wasn't good enough, because that's what I was hearing. I told myself that nobody cared when they did. Respecting yourself, respecting others. And it can go a long way. I know in the business world as well. People think, you respect your clients and stuff like that, and you've got to respect your employees also. I did work for Walmart at one point. That's where I originally got my technician license. That pharmacist not only got me into pharmacy as a pharmacy clerk, she's the one that originally got me my technician license. She believed in me. She watched me day in and day out going into my job as a pharmacy clerk, and she would get mad that not that I was watching the texts and telling them, hey, what if you did it this way? She'd get mad because, hey, you have so many ideas on improving the flow of things. You need to be doing it. When my ex and I separated for a short time in 2017 is when she seized the opportunity and tucked me in. And that small act brought me up a little bit. Of course, it came crashing down a few years later, only for my mental health to be catapulted into a different realm by Mr. Patrick Dempsey and Dempsey Center, because I'm not going to discount them, because every time I have gone in there, every time I've volunteered, they are such amazing people. And Patrick is the most incredible guy. Very down to earth. And every time I interact with him, usually at events, I get that respect. Patrick always asks me if he can give me a hug, and of course I've never told him no. Not going to. But it's the respect, the support. That respect and that support is something that, quite frankly, had me crying the first time after I left Dempsey Challenge, that first year that I did it locally, back in 2023. The realization that hey, I told somebody this, and they respected me, they supported me, and I felt safe with him. That was everything. And I got so overwhelmed that I actually had to pull over on the side of the road and I started bawling. Just like I had done when I had originally watched the Post-it scene. A lot of people say my story is inspiring because I moved to Maine from Oklahoma by myself. Nobody helped me. But I took the initiative. I decided I respected myself enough to try and make a better life for myself. And living up here, I have healed so much. I have healed and I have met some of the most amazing people, both through participating in Dempsey Challenge. This year will actually be my 4th Dempsey Challenge. You can actually go to the Dempsey Center, to the Dempsey Challenge website, and find my page. It tells about how I was a care partner for my grandmother. She is far from the only loved one I've had who has battled cancer. She's the one I was care partner for. But, like I said, every time I go to Dempsey Center, and yeah, a lot of my volunteering has been helping spiff up the center, helping to, I cleaned the parking lot at one point. But yeah, all these little things are necessary. And it's all part of what makes a bigger event happen. I just noticed a question here. The event is actually September 20th, happening in Lewiston, Maine, actually. I'm about an hour from there. And yes, my donation page is active. If anybody wants to go on and make a donation, share it out. When I get off the live, I'll go ahead and put my link in the comments. If anybody wants to go on and check it out, donate, whatever. I am actually part of a team this year. I got asked a few months ago by the owners of Karen Community Cuisine in Kennebunkport to join their team because they knew I did Dempsey Challenge, they knew how passionate I was, and they knew my story. I will be leaving a link in the comments after I get off of here because it's technology and I am a pharmacy technician, but I stink when it comes to technology. Makes no sense, I know. But a lot of the technology I deal with at work involves programs like in the IV room, and I get to look at like the surgical schedules, and I get to fight with Pyxis units, which anybody that's in the healthcare world, anybody that's worked in a hospital has probably seen these things. And yes, they are a pain. And therein is another deal with the respect too. I work with a ton of nurses. I love 99% of them. And the other small percentage really comes down to attitude of, so hey, going in the med room and saying, okay, here's where this is, or I'm answering a question for a nurse, and I've had a few of them that, even though they're the ones asking me the question, they're talking to me like I'm the idiot. Why? We're both on the same team. And having a degree I've never really equated degree with intelligence. Because quite frankly, if you want to look at it this way, there's how many people out there with driver's licenses, how many of them can actually drive? The driver's license says you're legal to do something. It says you're legal to operate a vehicle. It doesn't mean you can. But yeah, it is definitely, like I said, respect goes a long, long way. It goes... Oh yeah. You just kind of let them go, and then I go back to the pharmacy, and I remain professional when I'm in front of the person. Go back to the pharmacy, read the med messages, gripe about them a little bit maybe in the pharmacy. Of course, behind closed doors, in the back of your head, you're always saying a lot of times something different when somebody irritates you, but you have to treat them with respect in order to kind of maintain a somewhat peaceful atmosphere, which in a hospital, let's face it, that's not easy. A lot of my job entails, like I said, just that interacting with the nurses and making sure that they have the medications that they need, making sure the patients, that their medications are selected properly. I have actually had cases where, even as a technician, we notice ways to improve stuff. Hey, this order came through for this person to take 8 of these pills, but yeah, we've got this other strength in stock that they've only got to take 2 pills. And so a lot of times we will go to the pharmacist and say, hey, will you look at this? And so yeah, it gets looked at, order possibly changed, and then guess what? It's easier on the patient because the patient's not having to take so much, or seemingly not so much. And I work with some amazing, amazing pharmacists that do rely on us technicians, even though pharmacy techs do not have to, depending on the state you live in, pharmacy techs do not have to have a degree. You don't have to have a certification. A lot of times it's considered entry level. And a pharmacist kind of, I guess, feels you out and requests for your technician license. In Oklahoma, that was how that was. And I said my pharmacist that I had at Walmart checked me in. I actually wound up working for her husband at the Chickasaw Nation in Oklahoma before I moved to Maine. Both of them were incredible people. I don't talk to the people in Oklahoma as much. just because of the area I was in and all the mental blocks in connection with my ex-husband. My son is, I do miss a lot of the people in Oklahoma. Of course, my son's back in Oklahoma, as are my soon-to-be 2 granddaughters. And so it can get rough. But I do have to live my life. And to do that, I keep going back, I know, to the respect thing, but the respect, people believing in me, is what's gotten me as far as I have. At one point, before I left Oklahoma, I had actually given up on therapy because, let's face it, finding a therapist is hard enough. And I had had so many bad experiences with therapists that either wanted to treat me, like I was a case study, or say, well, the book says this. Well, the book didn't go through what I went through. Or a few of them were connected to my ex-husband and had previously seen him. And so I kind of got the feeling that they weren't 100% in it. We'll put it that way. And therapy can be expensive. Luckily, with the Chickasaw Nation, I did have amazing insurance, and they had all kinds of programs that I could make use of. So yeah, I tried, and like I said, I gave up for a little bit. When I was talking to Patrick this last June at an event that we were at, he encouraged me to try again. He believed in me enough, believed that I could. He's always believed that I had potential. And he encouraged me to live up to that potential. And it's kind of, hey, you don't need to give up on yourself. And he is always very encouraging, always encouraging me not to give up on myself. And he's gotten very cute when he sees me the past couple times. He'll see me and get a big grin on his face and say, yay! Which is pretty cool. I never was one that viewed myself as being I never viewed myself as being memorable. I always viewed myself as a background person. Growing up, I was the tiny, awkward science and math nerd that had buck teeth and a bad haircut. And by tiny, I mean I didn't hit 5 foot tall till I was a freshman in high school. And I am still only 5'2". So, yeah, I was the one whenever we had homecoming week in junior high. One of the spirit activities they had was a tricycle race. I'm the one that could pretty much fit on her tricycle. Yeah, even in junior high. But yeah, it didn't make for too much popularity. And of course, I moved down to southern Oklahoma my 8th grade year. Yeah. But yeah. And being short is not a bad thing. Even though I have had that excuse used on me in the hospital world. I actually had a nurse, it's been a few months ago, but I'm never going to forget this incident. I had initially made an error. I took up a medication back to the pharmacy that I had looked on the wrong line in the computer, took it back up to the pharmacy, realized what happened, and messaged the nurse, said, okay, I'm sending this back down. And my bad, pretty much. I owned it. Because, hey, we're all human. We all mess up occasionally. Get a call about an hour later. And one of my coworkers went down to take care of it because I was out of the department when the call came in. My coworker went in the medication room, got the medication out of the drop-off bin, handed it to the charge nurse on duty, and the charge nurse told her, well, the reason the nurse couldn't find the medication is because she's short. And every single person down in the ED that night was taller than me. So yeah, that didn't sit too well with me. And like I said, short people, anybody that's short knows we will find a way, we will crawl up on counters to get crap. Oh yeah, everybody makes mistakes, and it's not letting those mistakes, mistakes are going to get to you. That's one thing I've learned, and I am one of those queens of overthinking, especially with my complex PTSD. But the trick is you have to kind of say, okay, yes, I made a mistake. You have to allow yourself to make mistakes in order to learn. I'm of the opinion nobody is 100% stupid. Yes, we all have our stupid moments. But, that doesn't mean you are that you do not have any intelligence at all. I also grew up with 2 cousins that have Down syndrome. And hey, my hero, as he has said several times in several interviews, he's dyslexic. Actually, as is my son. My son used to be treated like he wasn't as intelligent, which that's not the case. Learning disability to me is, again, one of those kind of misnomers. People exaggerate it a lot. To me, LD means you learn differently. You have to make accommodations. Say, yeah, I'm a more auditory learner. Personally, I learn more hands-on. And it's not that I did bad in school, it's because I did very well in school. I got A's, B's, and C's. And yes, everybody is skilled in something. And learning your strength is learning your strengths. It can take you places. Yeah, like I say, and everybody can make a difference. Like I said, that difference, and you might not even know how big of a difference you've made in somebody's life. When Patrick Dempsey and Ellen Pompeo recorded that scene that saved my life, they weren't thinking about saving lives. They were 2 actors at work. After they were done filming for the day, they were heading home thinking, okay, what do I need to pick up at the grocery store? Do I need to pick up ballet shoes or pull-ups? And then I did learn the other day, I was bored, so I got to Googling different things. And the episode that saved my life actually aired on my birthday in 2009. So yeah, kind of Twilight Zone moment there. I didn't see that scene for 13 years. 13 years later, that small 2-minute scene made my life do a complete 180. And it's, like I said, just those simple little things. And, Patrick knows what he did. And he is constant. Every time I see him, he always checks on me. You're still doing good, aren't you? Yes, I'm doing fine. But yeah, it's, like I said, it's the little moments that matter in life. And the smallest moments that can make the most difference in somebody's life. The things we say, the things we do to people, they do matter. And like I said, it can be as simple as complimenting somebody's earrings, or, hey, I like that top you've got on. Telling them they're doing a good job. Telling that single mother in the grocery store that is going completely nuts because, the baby's in the shopping cart just having a meltdown. She's got a million things on her mind. Telling that mom to, hey, you're doing a good job. That makes a difference. Just a smile can absolutely go a long way. And recognizing that, hey, everybody goes through stuff. We don't know everybody's story. I've told you a part of mine. But just remembering that, you don't know somebody's story, but not adding to being, whatever demons they're fighting. Put it like that. And just being kind, being supportive. Giving somebody that smile, that compliment. That pat on the back. Letting them know that they're not alone. It goes a long way. And like I said, you may not even realize that you're doing it. But because you did that small little thing, their life just got exponentially better. So, and it doesn't cost anything to be a good person. It doesn't cost anything to give somebody the respect, the support, and the kindness that we all need to see more of in this world. For me, I do Dempsey Challenge. Quite frankly, I handle medications every day. So maybe I've saved a life. Maybe not. But hopefully I've improved lives. There's always that hope that somebody will come up to me someday and say, hey, you turned my life around. And no, it's not easy. I remember being to where where physically walking out the door was the easy part. I remember being where I would open the door to my house and seeing a brick wall, thinking I can't leave. I remember being ready to, shall we say, leave entirely. I remember the darkness. And I also remember who my lighthouse was. And I actually just got to see him again Saturday at an event. And like I said, he's always there with that great smile of his. But with something so small, he made such a huge difference in my life. I hope you all go out there and hopefully I've made a difference in people's lives, and I hope, and I know all of you have the potential to make others' lives better also. So, like I said, I will be putting my Dempsey Challenge information in the comments whenever I get off of here. So I know I've got, looks like, I'm trying to watch my clock too, because I know I've just got 15 minutes left, and I can be a talker. Of course, y'all haven't seen that at all. Y'all haven't seen that at all, so. Get a drink of my water there. So, haha, Michelle. But yeah, like I said, hopefully you all watch this, and I know it's going to be in the group on the replay and stuff like that, so I am just one I love making a difference. So I am going to, I know I've been talking here for about 45 minutes, so I am going to go ahead and hop off so I can actually go in and answer some of the comments. And I hope you all have an amazing day. Thanks. Bye.